Today, we'll learn about how plaintiff lawyers are helping victims of road rage.
Welcome to the YouTube channel of Michael J. Swanson. Michael is the author of How David Beats Goliath and is the CEO of Advocate Capital. And now, here's Michael.
Boy, there have been a lot of road rage cases in the news lately, and you might think the police are the only ones out there trying to address that problem, but you'd be surprised to learn that plaintiff lawyers are actually making an impact to reduce road rage incidents. And to help us learn more about that, we've invited Ron Kramer to join us. He's an experienced plaintiff lawyer from Utah. Ron, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much every other day, like where I live in Nashville, someone's pulling out a gun and shooting at somebody on the freeway. It's just crazy. So
Sure.
I know you had a case involving that recently. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the case is still actually pending. I think
Oh.
the pandemic has fed into this. You've
Yeah.
had people that are pent up, and they've developed these aggressions, and maybe they haven't been interacting with people, and they become a little antisocial.
Yeah, something.
And their tolerance level has dropped way down. They just don't have the tolerance for other people on the road like they had before. And we just seen a spike in Utah of these road rage cases. And we represent a group of people that were involved in such a case. And we took on the case, and we learned, and the media helped us, get some perspective on this as well. But they're just, they're driving to a job site, 5 men in a truck, driving to a job site early in the morning. They're in the carpool lane. And apparently they're not going fast enough for this guy that came up quickly behind them, flashing lights. And, there's this confrontation. And usually, and this is a tip to everyone out there, it doesn't help to de-escalate the situation where you give the other guy the finger, right? So just don't do that. That's not going to help.
Right.
But still, someone doesn't deserve to be shot at when that happens. And,
No.
and that's what happened in this case is, they have a right to be in the carpool lane. They have a right to go 70 miles an hour. That's the speed limit. They weren't violating any laws at all. And this guy was not happy with, the speed they're going at and everything. He takes out a gun and starts shooting at the truck they were in. And by our count, there was like 7 or 8 bullet holes in this truck. The driver got shot in the butt.
Oh my goodness.
One of the passengers had his beanie grazed by a bullet that came through. And a gentleman, one of our clients in the back seat, took a bullet into his spinal cord area. Luckily, it didn't sever his spinal cord, but it was touch and go for a while. He had a surgery or two, was hospitalized probably for 10 to 14 days. That's what happens when you start shooting people. People get seriously injured, or they can get seriously injured, and they can die on the roadway. And so in a situation like that, what do you do? Well, he's being prosecuted criminally, of course. We hope so.
Right.
But he was being prosecuted criminally, and that's still taking place. But what can you do civilly with situations like that? That's where I feel like we can feel a need for people who maybe have a criminal claim against somebody, but civilly they're left out in the cold. Because in this case, for example, the guy, my client, had his truck impounded. Why? Because it's evidence. It's evidence in a crime. So he got his truck impounded. It's still impounded.
Oh
And this is maybe 6 to 9 months later, still impounded as evidence. All his tools were in the truck.
Oh.
And, he didn't get to the job site that day, and he didn't have tools to do it, for weeks following. He had to get different tools. He was finally able to get back after a few months, but, they're out of work, and, not working because they're injured, they're recuperating. The other man had to see doctors because they were hurt as well, because had to suddenly turn and hit the wall, and the cars collided and everything. What to do with how to help these men civilly. And that's where we come in.
Yeah. So you then bring a suit against the defendant who did the shooting.
Correct. So that's what our lawsuit involved, was a lawsuit against this gentleman. I want to be generous, I guess,
Yeah.
against this person for this road rage incident, for shooting at these men, for injuring them, causing bodily injury, causing property damage. That's what our suit involved.
Right. So there are economic losses experienced by your clients.
Absolutely.
Right.
Who's going to pay for that?
Right.
You know, under the criminal statutes, there is this thing called restitution, right? And it covers you for out-of-pocket expenses and things like that. But it's not designed to really make you whole. It's designed to cover minimal expenses related to the criminal activity. Really, what you need is a civil action to really get at the full range of damages that people experience in these types of situations.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Well, it's one more example of how plaintiff lawyers are helping plaintiffs, but of course, making the world a safer and better place, because hopefully, as people realize, I'm not only going to do a little jail time here, I might lose my house or what have you due to civil penalties. Maybe people will exert a little more self-control.
Absolutely. Yes. Think twice. Think twice. And basically, they need to increase the gap between the stimulus and their response. Because when you increase the gap, you have more time to think rationally and reasonably, more time to follow the rules and not do rash things like pull out a gun and hurt people.
Count to 10.
Yes, there you go.
All right, Ron. Hey, thanks for joining us and sharing
you're
the
welcome.
story about that case. We appreciate the
Yes.
work you're doing out there.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Send your questions or comments to Michael at mike@howdavidbeatsgoliath.com.